Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup. We made it most of the way through the roundup. Now it's time to keep on trucking. We'll kick things off with The Flash, number 4. Where we left off, The Flash had been dealing with some odd phenomena relating to his speed. Also, his daughter Irie was dealing with her own speed phenomena. The issue opens with Irie coming down and seeing her father sitting at the table, but seems like it was more of a Speed Force illusion. She looks at the table, however, and finds a bunch of files and pictures and newspaper clippings. Wally, meanwhile, has gone on to the statue garden. It seems to be a garden of statues of Flashes. He's trying to find Max Mercury. And in a very best way to describe it is a Grant Morrison move, Flash begins pulling down word balloons, but and thus the resident, the character shown on the cover, appears. The statue garden is the resident's home, as it were. Elsewhere in Central City, Irie, who goes by the codename Thunderheart, meets up with Jesse Quick, Liberty Bell, and well, they're dealing with Barry provided a tip to Jesse about basically something that needed a bit more nuance than Barry or Wally. A young woman seemingly injecting herself with a drug giving her speed. And so, Irie and Jesse give chase, because also that's what you gotta do. Elsewhere, back in the statue garden, Wally is talking to the residents and finding out just how this realm works. For example, why the statues constantly change when Barry is no longer looking at them. Irie and Jesse manages to get the injector from the hopped up woman. She still manages to escape, but what's more interesting is that Irie manages to pick the woman's pocket at super speed, going in the opposite direction, which Jesse points out is, at the very least, incredible. But Wally realizes that, yeah, he does need to, that Wally begins to realize that understand that the statue garden is further down in existence. It's beyond, I want to say beyond speed. It's intent. But meanwhile, Jesse and Irie track the injector to a lab outside of Central City. Irie slips in, activating, showing up. Her showing up activates the tech in the lab. Turns out to be Mirror Master's lab. Wally realizes something that he has to save his daughter, and basically returns to existence. Saving Irie from a grenade, and apologizing for not being there in the first place. So his mind's elsewhere. Though it does seem that Irie managed to grab the mirror shard that Mirror Master disappeared into. That is where the issue ends. Or at least a mirror shard. That could be dangerous. But interesting. I'm really digging this run on Flash. Previous runs of Flash I've run, previous runs of Flash that I've read haven't been as while they've all been science fiction, they haven't been there has not been as much emphasis on the science part in runs that I've read previously. At least not in. At least not beyond the Speed Force's science, and yeah, that's what you need to know. So yeah, it's interesting, and it kind of messes with your head a little. Moving on though to our next book, we've got Green Arrow number 7. Always nice to see a miniseries become an ongoing, especially before the miniseries is even complete. So where we left off, Ollie had returned to the present, reunited with his family, except for Roy, who had been taken prisoner by Amanda Waller. Though Ollie and the rest of their family don't know that, the last part yet. All they know is that he was off with Cheshire. So we recount Green Arrow's existence. And apparently, during the time he was gone, he was never officially pronounced dead, so his bank account's still intact. Got himself a new state-of-the-art armor. Goes to the Hall of Justice. Finds it empty. So, Ollie starts asking the other members of the League, what's going on? Why is there no League? And Superman explains that they offered Nightwing all of the League's resources and whatnot, and Nightwing said that no, turned him down, and said it was time for the Titans to step up. And, and despite the rivalry between Batman and Green Arrow does have a lot of faith in Nightwing, so, he gets why Superman, was like, okay, that's how it's going to be then. But he also asks Diana about what's going on. Barry, Arthur, Adam, Sean, Hawk Girl, Zatanna, the Adams, Detective Chimp, and of course, Hal. Who basically, knowing there's another Parallax running around, well, they have to deal with that. But apparently Hal's on a stakeout. Some rogue coons are ripping off parts from planes, trying to build something, and so Hal and Barry take him down, but Connor confirms for Ollie that they are on the right Earth, in the right timeline, though Connor points out that something is off with Batman, and that Ollie might want to revisit that. And Connor points out that, Ollie spying on his friends isn't exactly the best idea. Which, yeah, it's not. But, basically Ollie felt something was off, that maybe something was off, that's why there wasn't a league. But no, and worse, with Waller being back in the picture, well, that's a problem too. Plus, well, Roy's missing. The issue ends, however, with Automatopoeia standing outside of Ollie's Arrow Dojo, saying, "Crash." Interesting kick off to the book being an ongoing as opposed to a mini. I'm glad someone's at least noticing that Batman's a bit more off than normal, because, well, yeah, he has been. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Power Girl number 4. Where we left off, Power Girl discovered the source of the infection was, despite Superman's assurances, the symbiote ship. So we get the symbiote ship's history about how it raised Power Girl, how Power Girl then seemingly destroyed it, but it persevered. It changed and transformed. Very nearly got to Power Girl at her charity function. And it was only because of Amalok removal of the symbiote ship piece was the only thing that is able to was a surprise. However, now the symbiote ship has once again reclaimed Power Girl and is attacking Superman through Power Girl. Meanwhile, in Power Girl's head, the Kryptonian lion that she was caring for is appearing as a representation of the symbiote ship, and Power Girl's trying to remove the influence of the symbiote ship from her, but well, it's harder. It's hard to do with the symbiote ship being largely in control of her body. Our Omen and Streaky show up, Omen hitting the symbiote ship with a psychic attack and removing the bit of the symbiote ship from Power Girl through Power Girl's eye. Streaky then destroying it with heat vision. So for a little while, Power Girl gets to be a pirate. Clark apologizes for not believing Paige about the symbiote ship. However, the symbiote ship endures, and it merges with both the Lion as well as Kellex at the Fortress of Solitude, becoming Symbio. However, it also leaves a recreation of Kellex behind, basically to make it seem as though nothing is amiss. Superman asks Kellex to do a once-over of Power Girl, make sure that there aren't any injuries he missed in looking over with X-ray vision. But that is where the issue ends. Interesting. Like we got ourselves a new Power Girl villain, it would seem. Sad that it's taken over Kellex, but that'll be temporary, I assume. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Amazon's Attack number 3. Where we left off, the Amazons had arrived at the home of the Escurita, found the place in ruins. The issue begins with videos of various Amazons talking about why they want to leave Themyscira now that once Nubia opened the borders, and the sad results of them leaving. But Mary has reverted back to being just Mary, and well, has to say Shazam, and but Nubia and Queen Faruka head to Greece to figure out what's going on with or where the apples of discord are coming from. Of course, they have to use Hoppy to get there, much to Faruka's dismay, and Hoppy's dismay, I might add. Mary is going to look into the Savannah. Well, it's also suggested that Yara go with her, but Yara wants to find her people who are apparently missing. Nubia and Faruka arrive in Greece, learning that Greece is the only country that's offering to take in that's offering refuge to those that are being targeted by the AXE, adding that it's not just Amazons, it's anyone that speaks up for the Amazons, anyone that the world already targets for being different. Anyone with direct ties to the Amazons is not under suspicion, and the world is not kind to those they don't trust. However, Nubia points out there was an earthquake in Greece recently, so it must have unearthed a temple to Eris. But the the UN ambassador to Greece explains that they're clearly not from that Nubia and Farouk are clearly not from the original band of Amazons, as there are no temples to Eris. Eris was an anathema, unnatural. They wanted, and while Greek temples wished to the Greeks tried and to utilize temples to bring the divine closer to man. Well, that was one form of divinity that they wanted to keep as far away as possible. But it's further explained that Eris is welcome nowhere but the garden of Hesperides in the Atlas Mountains, where her golden apples grow, and that is where Nubia and Faruka go. Meanwhile, Mary arrives at Belrad Prison to speak with Dr. Savannah's daughter, her former teacher. And yeah, apparently Savannah made a deal, and however, when Mary insisted appears it was with Eris, Savannah laughs at her. And also basically releases all of the prisoners within Bel Rev. And puts Mary and also says that if Mary transforms into Mary Marvel, well, yeah, there's gonna she'll have to deal with AXE troops. But Faruka and Nubia arrive at the garden, find the grove where the golden apples grow, and apparently Eris's corpse is nailed to the tree. As for who's behind it all, my guess would be Waller. It seems, given what some of the bits of dialogue in Beast World, it seems just right up her alley. So yeah, and that really issue ends. I'll be surprised though if it turns out to not be Waller behind it all, because well, it's kind of Waller's whole thing is making the heroes look as bad as possible. Moving on to our next book, we've got Batman: Brave and the Bold, number 8. All right. First off, we've, as usual, multiple stories. First off, we got Batman Pygmalion. The apartment building that the fake Batman had been recuperating in while he thought he was Batman has been taken over by a criminal gang. The real Batman and the fake Batman are teaming up to free the occupants. They managed to do so, and Hoopo has an old man with her, the ventriloquist. When the fake Batman and Hoopo make it to the roof, however, a bunch of the goons are already waiting up there, and it turns out they're this ventriloquist mob that took take over the building. The real Batman rescues Hoopo's mother, who surprises Batman with a kiss, but because it's not the Batman that's been staying under her roof. But Batman takes a beating. The fake Batman takes a beating, and Aurora Hoopo chucks the Scarface puppet off the building. And the real Batman shows up and basically suggests that he tries to convince Wesker to forget about Scarface. But he's got a means of... there's a backup plan, and yeah, explosives on the building. They go off, but both Batmans and Hoopo and her mother are all saved. Hoopo being saved by Catwoman. And in fact, Catwoman has also managed to find the Scarface puppet. Next up, we've got Wild Dog, Here Comes Trouble, Part 2. New gangs muscling in on in the Midwest. Wild Dog's trying to figure out who it is. And he's being sued by the college whose mascot he wears on his shirt. So he's having to try out new shirts that don't have the college mascot. So he starts asking questions of people that don't usually like to answer questions. Getting into a few fights. So to find out who's actually running this new gang. Talks to a cop friend of his. Tells them, hey, there's a meet going on, and at an abandoned Cord Mart. The underboss of the Kentuckiana Marchetti crime family, as well as the boss of the Hub City Dragons, Elder Queen of the Death Angels, and the King of the Great Lakes River Pirates, all meet to discuss what's going on. With Hecate, the Queen of the Death Angels, saying, you know, hey, if it seems like it's one of the Cape villains, so let's figure out which Cape villain who's the guy's usual dance partner, and tell them. But the new gang shows up. And the cops are taken down rather quickly. Turns out it's Gizmo, longtime Teen Titans villain. And apparently Wild Dog is the only one who was giving him any trouble in his expansion to the Midwest. And finally, not finally, we still got the Black and White story too, but there's our Aquaman story, Communion, where we left off. Aquaman ended up on an undersea research platform from Gorilla City. That had been hijacked by Dominators and was killing marine life. Aquaman learns about the Dominators having taken it over. This particular group from Gorilla City doesn't believe that the Speed Force is responsible for Gorilla City's existence, and think that their origin is in the stars. And the force field that's being used on the station, that's what's hurting the marine life. Aquaman and his ally go to deactivate the force field, but his ally is killed, and Aquaman is teleported to Gorilla City. Apparently, the Dominators plan to take over Gorilla City as well. And finally, our Black and White story. Angels in the Architecture. Basically crimes are being committed by a device which allows those who are paralyzed to experience life as though they were not. Meaning that it's only occurring to wealthy. It would only be the wealthy children of, or the children of who are paralyzed children of wealthy people that are committing these crimes. Of course, it's built into the mechanic, into the wiring, but Batman manages to put a stop to it, and the creator is, sadly saddened that her whole project was corrupted in such a manner. I like the way Pygmalion concluded. Sadly, I doubt we'll ever see the characters again. But anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.